Hi, and welcome to Leading Change, the show that spotlights change and transformation through the eyes of today's top leaders. My name is Seager, a managing partner of Ally Solutions Group, and I am here with my great friend and colleague, Jack Gottlieb from Total Solutions Group, and I'm thrilled to have you.
I'm glad to be here. This is going to be
you.
so much fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Okay, so we're going to talk about today, Total Solutions Group. We're going to talk about the type of work that we do in this industry, and we're going to introduce a couple of new ideas to our viewers. So let's start. TSG.
Sure.
When did you start it? Why did you start it?
11 years this past September 30th, so just 11 years ago.
I didn't know it was 11. Okay.
I know. It's also my birthday, my son's birthday, November 11th, so it's a good number. It's a
Great
good
number.
I started it because I saw such a missing piece that I still see in the marketplace, which is regardless of change or strategy or culture, anything that any company needs to have, wants to have, or has to have to make themselves better, it's that true, how do we really implement? How do people take ownership? How do we really replicate this? And that is actually the main reason, driving force why I started this is, to do the great work, sure, but how do we really make that sustain itself? So that was the driving piece for me.
Right, okay.
Among many other reasons, but that's the core.
So tell me, what do you guys do? So when you say you saw this in the marketplace, you said, I'm going to solve this problem.
That's right.
And here's how.
That's right. So our premise is we're here to drive what's really most important for an organization in their customers, their marketplace, their business, but also for what their people in a way that, in the end, people will take ownership of that and replicate that going forward. So it's a game of ownership, not engagement.
Right.
It's a game of not just improvement and processes and change, but how do we really then replicate that? Which means, hey, things are going to change beyond the change, beyond the initiative, beyond the big global rollout or the big training or whatever that might be. When that's all gone and the internal initiatives or the external initiatives are done and we're just back to being ourselves without the support, what's going to carry that forward when growth, expansion, reduction, change in industry, how do we really own and replicate that? And that's the space that we play between the right consulting, so how do we really help build and implement the strategy and the structure that you've already got, right?
Okay.
Not just advise it, not just give the big thought leadership that, oh, thank you, and they have no idea
how to execute it.
Yeah, because the business still has to happen regardless. They don't stop the business. There's no vacation. There's no off-season like in sports. Okay, we can just think about this in a big retreat center in the woods, and that's all we're going to do. No, the business is still happening.
Yes.
So how do we consult to help build the structure and the strategy? What's the training that's needed to get people to align with that?
Right.
You've seen it. How many times have things rolled out? People are nowhere near ready for that. They're not capable.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
so you're coming in, you're working with leadership, you're helping them define where they're going to go from a strategy perspective, and then how they're going to execute it. We're coming in and working with that leadership as well, but also taking a look at how are we building a story around this and communicating it, and how are we rolling this out in a way where people are engaged, they know their role in it, and they know how to perform at their best.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all these pieces put together. But the strategy, how many times do we walk into organizations where they think they have their strategy right? Yeah, these are some of our top goals or objectives, and this is what we think we're doing. But in terms of executing and having individuals aligned with that and leadership aligned with it, that's a whole different story, right?
That is the ball game where what they think they're playing is all really just batting practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about a 50-page document. It's not about a bunch of scorecards and metrics. It's not about the KPIs. It's how are we going to disseminate this in a way where people actually use that mission, vision, values, strategy, goals, objectives, KPIs? How does that execute day to day where it feels like people can really, again, own it?
Right.
Not just, it's on the wall and I get it in the quarterly meetings and it doesn't line up with the day-to-day. That's the alignment, like you just said, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right. And here's what I love about so many of your presentations and the way you really educate people around some of this work is you ask the right questions because, right, we can't count the number of times that leaders have been in your presentation and you ask, hey, are you seeing this? Does this happen in your organization? You know, is this piece of what I'm talking about, are you experiencing this as a leader? And the light bulb goes off. Because I was going to say so many times organizations and their leaders are really, you know, they think they have their sights set on the right thing, but it doesn't feel like everything's in place. It's not until you kind of educate around some of these things that they're like, okay, that piece right there, that's what I need to work on.
That's my blind spot that I didn't know was my blind spot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Total,
exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
So, so you do just in terms of your involvement in the community, and I run the NJOD, and you've done so many awesome presentations, which you do for SHRM and some other large national and I think global organizations. Tell me a little bit about what your focus is with some of that. Like you've had some awesome presentations, and just bring up one of the ones that were a little controversial.
I think, so two things. I think going to conferences, before I get into the topic, is so unique because going to a conference, especially if it's a large-scale conference of any scale, of any type, it's literally like trick-or-treating for adults because there's the master exhibit hall with all the big bells and whistles of either learning leaders or technology leaders and all focused on that discipline of HR or OD or training or CEO, and it's like, okay, you have all that overwhelmed. Then you have I still have to check on my work.
Right.
Then you have all the sessions that are going on, 30 sometimes in a slot over the course of 3 or 4 days. And what's unique to me and challenging about conferences is it's a lead into the kind of what do I do in respect of speaking to make it really relevant is you get all these notes, iPad, phone, tablets, or the book. You have all these notes, you get your little bag, you have all your stuff in the bag that you take back and you're like, I'm going to use all this stuff. And then it just sits in the corner.
Yeah, sure it does.
So anytime that I or anybody on the team speaks at a conference, but especially me, it's always about making sure, and then I'll get into the topic, is how do we make sure that this becomes a moment of time that isn't just about our thought leadership among all the other thought leaders that are there, but how does it become a seminal moment for them where they recognize the need, back to the mission of the company, even just in doing a conference, which is just an extension of us growing and expanding, where this is going to be a real relevant point for you to intentionalize your whole conference experience, not just by taking action steps, but really aggregating and integrating. How can this session not just be a developmental point for you, but almost like a Google for you to help really aggregate and think through everything else. That's a big game changer for us. We're a part of improving the experience for you at the conference, but more so about what you're going to do when you get back to work.
Right.
Versus,
yeah,
I'm just going to get my topic.
Happen.
No. And that's still a point that we differentiate time and again. So one of the sessions that we've done a lot of, and I've done a lot of, and it keeps being asked to come back to different conferences, is one of them is we're hired to do a job but paid to achieve results.
Right.
And I'm all about the provocative title, not for the flair and just the marketing. It's not about that. It's getting to really validate for people when they look at that book or online and they see a title, it creates an emotion for them.
Yeah.
It's not about the 5 ways to lead change. That sounds great. How to deal with difficult change globally. Okay. Great. But what's the real emotional piece that's challenging? And that is that we have people in jobs and positions that are capable, that are competent. We sometimes have to hire or bring on more people, but it's not about the job. It has nothing to do with the job.
Life's too short.
Life's way too short to do the things you suck at. Right? It really is. And you're going to prompt me for that.
One of my favorite titles.
Life is too short to do the things you suck at.
Yeah.
And that whole point, and that connects to that title, which is to say, look, even if you're a CHRO, even if you're a senior VP, it's not about your position. You do way more than what you were hired for. Right. And we're asking people to achieve better results, but within the mindset of just doing their job. It's not about doing the job. The job is the structure that gives me the framework to be able to be honest enough to know where I'm supposed to start. That's not the end.
Right.
That's where ownership kicks in.
Right.
That's why I love engagement. And there's so many studies from the Gallups and the Blessing Whites, but engagement to me is not the final step. I've been saying you have to open up the period on the engagement sentence and continue it till we get to ownership and then put the period back on the sentence.
Right.
It's about really thinking about the business. What's really important for the business? How do I play a role? If I'm in accounting, as an example, it's not about providing my P&L reports or the financial statements. How do I help the business make better decisions?
Right.
And how should I be communicating these reports? How do I advise and support? That's a simple way to get back to that title. And in that session, it's really opening people up and really flipping it on its head that this is not about getting people to do a better job. It's about achieving greater results, creating greater value that's going to be relevant and sustainable so that you can replicate it and scale it, which means we have to have people take ownership and just do the job. That's where we're hired to do a job, but to really achieve results, and that's what we're paid to do, we have to take ownership.
Yeah. Well, and the ownership is really personal, right? And so what you're talking about dovetails really nicely into our last show where we talked about emotional intelligence, mindfulness for leadership, et cetera. It comes back to the individual. I just took a awesome workshop through Connor Academy that was focused on character, your true nature, character, presence, and impact. Right? Who am
ask
I?
you for that workshop.
Yeah,
I like that.
As character.
That's good stuff.
Well, Daryl Connor is going to be our keynote for the NJOD this next year. So he is going to do a keynote around that, which I feel is so critical.
Very critical.
You know, everything you're talking about in taking ownership as a leader, I mean, it has to be complemented with that self-awareness, right? And that connection with who we are. When I hear that title, Life is Too Short to Do Things We Suck at, I also think how many people are doing that day to day are so unhappy because they're not really connected with what am I good at, what am I passionate about, and how am I bringing those gifts and talents to the table in a way where I'm showing up for people that I'm working with, and I have an impact on you. You have an impact on me, right? We're so present that we're impacting each other in a really meaningful way, and you know that's a whole area that even Ally as an organization is focusing on in these women's restorative leadership sessions that we're doing and workshops, et cetera, is really focused on that. And that's, you know, all this fits together.
It does so fit together. And I honestly, if I were to think beyond our bigger mission, if the whole, boil it down to one word, it is ownership. Because I think that is not given enough attention. And just being engaged to me is just, yeah, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we have engaged workforce and we're doing these surveys and studies. And I say to clients all the time, I say, look, you have 5,000 people here. You want to get, let's say, you want to at least get 50% engagement. And that's not real, I'm just giving a roundabout number. I don't even care about the 2,500 people we want to get engaged. Find me the 100 people that will really take ownership.
Right.
Regardless of level.
Early adopters, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
who are really going to walk in the end of the day and not say,
Yeah.
all right, what do I have to get done today? It's what do I have to accomplish today?
Yeah.
It's not, oh, I'm so busy. It's, hey, what's really most important here?
Yeah.
Or, God, I just don't have enough help. Okay, how do I really optimize what I need to get done? That's the game that we're so excited that we've been playing and continue to evolve to lead in that space. It's about ownership. It's not about engagement.
Yeah, and it's the frame. I mean, I love you
That's
made
a
the
great word, frame.
distinction in language because I do think it's about the language that we
Language
use
is key.
and that we get to
Amen.
accomplish this, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to go to work. We get to go to work.
Right.
You know, and how you frame things and what that structure looks like, I think is so critically important.
I think society is a little bit of, professionally, society is a miss on that because we forget how important language is. How many people say, which is a big
Absolutely.
soapbox for me, oh, I've been so busy lately, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. No, you haven't been so busy, this hasn't been a priority for you. Let's just be honest. If it was a priority for you, whether it's personal or professional, it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. Too busy, too overwhelmed, I don't have enough resources.
I'm richly scheduled.
What? What's that? Richly scheduled.
I'm richly scheduled is what I've said
Reframing is so
lately.
powerful.
Yeah, it
Tony
is.
Robbins talked about
It
it.
is.
That's been in our personal development world for a while, but it's so key in corporate America. It's
Yeah.
key in branding externally. Why don't we just do the same thing internally?
Right, and in our personal, right, because again, and this is what Julie and I were just talking about this as well, is, you know, it's systemic, you know, we don't leave who we are back there at the door when we walk in or anything that's going on in our lives but I think, you know, thinking about our language, you know, and bringing it back to the professional world, you know, how we frame stuff out with language is basically, we're declaring it, right? We're declaring
Great
our
word,
future.
declaring it,
you know?
exactly.
I'm a big Joel Osteen fan, and Joel is all about, You know, what you want to know what your life is going to be like in 5 years? You're speaking it today.
Yeah, it's totally
Such a
agree.
powerful concept. You know?
That's with corporate. It's one of our key principles, foundationals. We have to have the same culture internally as we do externally. So if we think about how we really represent ourselves as companies to our customers, let's put the characteristics, let's put the kind of the DNA of that out there.
Yeah.
And how do we flip that internally? Because then we're creating the same ecosystem, marketplace, whatever word you want to use, where now people see, I'm in accounting, and if it is marketing, sales, or service, they're my customer. How do I give them the financial data so they make better decisions, not just get them the reports? I'm simplifying that, but that's the representation.
But it's about
of
context,
ownership.
right?
Right.
And you know, even when we're talking about how we're working together as teams or functional areas within a company, right? I need to understand that what I'm doing right now is going to impact you.
Great
And
way
when
to-
I see that handoff, that workflow, that hey, if I don't do this, this, and this, get this much data for you, give it to you in a timely fashion. I mean, it's a little transactional what I'm talking about, but
Sure.
the reality is we're people. And when I understand that how I do what I do, or how well I do, or how well I don't do, is going to impact you at the end of the day, now wait a minute, that has different meaning for me. And maybe I need to pay more attention to that because I'm not going to deliberately do something that's going to put you at a disadvantage.
Totally great point.
And when you well, you're one of your favorite words that now you have imparted on me that is so important is relevance, right?
Oh.
So relevance and context for me, right?
That's-
Draw the whole picture out, and then people can see where they are. And from a change management perspective, right? It's really, and how we're individually wired, it's really about where we are. You may say, hey, this is where the organization's going, and we have this fantastic, better future.
Yeah.
But the reality is, where am I in that? If I can't see my seat in the boat and I don't understand what my role is, that's great. Everybody else is on that journey, but I'm still, I don't get it. You know, I don't see it.
Everybody wants tomorrow. Everybody wants next week. Everybody wants next year.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we could open this up. It's as much personal as organizational, but as you just said so beautifully, but who I am at home is what I bring to work. So although they're different, they're really the same. But to get tomorrow and to get next year, whether I'm publicly traded or not, whether I'm global or not, and I want expansion in more locations or more presence or more diversification and all the things that we love that then create a purpose and an impact and all that stuff being said, it really just comes down to, okay, give yourself the permission as a company to really be self-aware, back
Yeah.
to emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Where are we really at? And not just provide via the C-suite, but are our people a part of that process? Goes back to ownership to
Yeah.
see, hey, we did great in our business unit this year. Okay, but how does that then pass on to you?
Right.
The baton of the relay race, if you will. And how does it relate to where we're going as a company? Or if I'm in a team, how does it relate to our department? If I'm a person, it's about ownership.
Yeah.
And
And then
doesn't-
you can have pride on so many levels in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people are so set up to just to be that department head, or that's not my
Yeah.
job. Even in the evolved companies that we both know and have worked, there's still that similar challenge of, well, you know, that's not my piece, or that's them.
Right.
We see with some of the companies we work with globally, where VP of Engineering in North America, one of our clients,
Yeah.
just operates in one of the areas of North America, and says, well, you know, that's something that they do. You know,
Right.
okay. So it's like, what is that? Wow.
Where's the we? Right. Yeah.
And they're a global leader, and yet we're still not taking ownership. And
Yeah.
not because they don't want to, but we don't know what we don't know.
Right, right, right. And
It's
it's
context.
always right, and then there's just always that opportunity to step back and where is our shared space, right? Because so many times, and that is, you know, I think a function, a facet of that global framework structure, you know, is the where do we globalize, where do we localize, you know, who owns what piece. It's complex. It's complex, but it's a darn good thing we're here to help them figure out that.
It's a place of purpose, and I always say that
It
for me,
is.
growing the company and the clients, I'm becoming a better person through it. So
Yeah.
if anything, the main reason for
Love
me
that.
beyond purpose is I continually become a better person. It's
Yeah.
not doing the job and then love the work, but it's also self-fulfilling growth for me.
Yeah, yeah, which is, you know, it doesn't
Break
get
it down
any
where how
better.
does this relate
Yeah.
to me as a person? It's like, wow,
Right.
I'm growing through this. And that's always my wake up in the morning piece.
Yeah.
Is just, I'm
Yeah,
continually evolving with the company, with our clients,
Yeah.
with our staff, with our partners, with the people that, so it's
well,
a constant journey.
I think we share the same kind of servant leadership
Yes,
approach, and
yes.
so that is the gift of service, you know? Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. So tell me, I just want to, because you have so many fantastic products, I'm going to say, as part of what you've built at TSG. Give me an example of one of the either assessments or tools that you use that you think are pretty important.
So I guess to keep it core is the foundational piece that everything we do is built on is what we call the TAP model. And that's been I remember just going to the bathroom to take a shower, and I was just getting ready for a client, and it hit me. I'm like, oh, this is the centerpiece for the company. And those random moments that sometimes that the best ideas come from our iPhones to what we do in life, and it was that. And it's real simple. So TAP is real simple, that every organization, global, local, department, business unit, individual, professionally, it's universal, systemic, seamless. It's not a stock thing. It's organic. T is for true clarity, meaning not just clarity, but is it true to what is really most important, back to our mission, for what we're really trying to do as an organization, not just big picture, but hey, this year, this quarter. And that resides itself in, hey, what is the strategy that we really need to be focused on in order to make that happen? And then what is the capability we need in order to make that happen? And that's not just people, that's people, process, structure, and our business model. How are we going to make that happen? So that's true clarity. The second piece, which is the fundamental glue, which we just talked about, is aligned accountability. So it's not just accountability. Because people can say, oh, I've been accountable, I have followed through. But is that really you and your function, you and your location, is that really aligned to what's really most important?
And when you cascade that, right? Tier it, not just the leaders, accountable,
it's
everybody in the,
Right. So the alignment is about creating the right experience for people. What is that culture? What is the real culture? Not the things we say and do for the gatherings and the end of the year pieces, but what is the real culture we need to get people to really buy in, still do what they need to do day to day, but bought in a way that, again, allows them to then be accountable, which shows itself up in collaboration. It's hard for me to follow through if I'm not really going to collaborate with you. In my team, different business unit function. And that, I think, is missed when we talk about accountability. It's not just measures, it's not just reinforcement, it's not just coaching. It's who do I really need to collaborate with, organizationally speaking, in a win-win way, so that in getting the true clarity, to get then the aligned accountability, then we're able to really not just execute, purposefully execute. So that's where the true clarity, aligned accountability, purposeful execution kicks in, and that's where transformation comes from. It's not just where I'm executing, because it's in the actions I take that the change happens. It's not doing it and waiting. It's in the moment, things are already happening. It's like ROI. Don't wait 6 months after to get the ROI. That's my biggest challenge with ROI is it happens now. That's where execution has to be purposeful. I have to know what I'm doing on that global, local, or individual scale for that client, department, or business unit. I have to know what I'm doing. This is where ownership now boils this all together. I have to know that it's actually doing something. Why is it doing something? How do I replicate that? That's where execution, although so big in business today, all the books, all the research, is it purposeful, not just to get the result, but in a way that you understand what's happening. Even if you're a part of it or indirectly. So that's our core. Everything is built on that model, but that piece is really what we do. That's the core of everything that we do. From year-long, multi-tools, processes, consulting, training, coaching, really being an extension of that senior team. It's like we're not going to come in just to do work. If this is to do a thing, not doing it. Not doing that. It's not about doing something. It's are we going to achieve something, which means we're going to hold you accountable. And if you can't, then we're not going to work with you. So it's really intentional. Not, hey, we're the thought leader, we're just going to come in and do the piece.
Right. Because how many times do we do that? So
checkbox training, checkbox initiative, hey, we did this, flavor of the month, all that stuff we both.
So your aligned accountability, which is really a shared accountability, becomes part of your partnership approach as well, right? So it's not just about the work you do internally, but right off the bat, when we come in as a partner to you, here's what we're accountable for, here's what you're accountable for.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Probably my favorite quote, Gandhi.
And
that's what it is. We have to be that. Not just in how we show up, as you used that term before, for our staff. We're not going in our meetings and not doing anything we're doing, because if we do that, then we can't work for you. It's about it, that integrity. Absolutely. It's like, hey, we are showing up in this too.
Well, and it's interesting,
Great way
right?
to-
As an external resource, because we are doing much the same, and we, in our partnership and engagement right up front, have put stuff out there just in terms of our accountability to each other, and getting actually really specific as it relates to meetings. And we will need 30 to 60 minutes of your time every 2 weeks to be able to meet. And we're talking, top senior executives, sponsors of
you need to make this time.
Right. Because far too often when you're an external resource, they love, and I'm saying they, there's a general sense of really loving having you come in and take this off my plate.
It's
Go
happening
fix
now.
it.
Right. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, I got the gym membership.
Yeah.
I got the expensive workout outfit. I'm now healthy.
Yes.
No.
Right. There is some work, right? And we roll up our sleeves together. The outcome is that you're a changed organization, regardless of the change that you were implementing, right? So now
it's the journey as well as the outcome, because the journey will get you the sustainability.
Absolutely.
And we're not talking environment sustainability. We're talking about sustainability where you can continue and evolve this.
Yeah.
So it does replicate. You're able to scale it, as I said before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I feel that, so you and I are partners on a different level in relation to a leadership event that we are developing. And I'm saying event because we haven't landed on our word yet. But because we're so passionate about helping to change this environment and to give leaders an opportunity to experience more and to really be able to hold up the mirror and do a level of self-awareness and self-analysis that is just explosive. We're planting the seeds now for this experience that we don't even have words to describe yet, but we are planning within the next 18 to 24 months, and it's going to be...
And I would say game-changing. Because,
I would say it's a game-changer.
There's plenty of events that are out there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of great events.
That's why I'm being very careful. Like, this is not a conference. This is something so experiential with this sustainable community, and I'm just going to throw out the word docu-film because it's really exciting, and something that hasn't been done in relation to corporate America in the past. So
that's exactly right.
It's super exciting. Jack, so before we wrap up, tell people how to get a hold of you.
Total Solutions Group, again, tsgresults.com, again, because it's about the results we want. It's not about the initiatives that we plan. So tsgresults.com. You can go right on to our website. Our direct line is 732-961-3704, but the website is best because there's a way in which for you not just to see your world through how we might be of value, but also the opportunity to really actually experience what your needs and goals look like and a way in which to see how we might be a fit.
Excellent. Thank you, Jack. Joy and pleasure, of course,
this is fantastic.
always.
A lot of fun.
Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for joining us today.